Hi, I'm Sarah Brzezinski, the Outreach Coordinator at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory. Today, I'm hosting a young alumni interview, part of our series to discover why some of our alumni chose to come to the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory, how their experiences have shaped their careers, and where they are today. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by Dr. Suzan Shahrestani. Suzan, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing very well. So Suzan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, right on the Hudson River, where I got my initial passion for marine science. Growing up in the Bronx, I was minutes away from the Bronx Zoo. We took field trips there as a child. I was there 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, all the way up until I was in high school every summer, going through their programs. And then I became an intern at the Bronx Zoo. So I would say that they were huge in really instilling a love for nature and science education.
So when you were, say, about 10 years old, what did you want to be when you grow up?
A scientist.
That's great. That's wonderful. You've been able to turn a dream into a reality.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to study, but I know I wanted to be a discoverer. I wanted to be in nature, discovering new things, and just trying to understand how everything came together the way we saw it.
And what drew you towards coming to the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory?
Yeah, so for my master's, I went overseas and I got a degree in agriculture. But I was working in the Middle East and really recognized how data gaps and a poor technological infrastructure affects how we understand science. And taking that, I came back to the States looking to have a degree that integrated technology and science. And CBL found my advisor, Dr. Hongsheng Bi at CBL, and the rest was really history. So it was about, exploring my passion for marine science, but with that integration of technology, once I recognized data gaps, how difficult they were to manage when you lack resources. Yeah.
And in your studies, what sort of research were you conducting? What was your thesis on?
So I was using sonar technology to kind of figure out what jellyfish were doing in the water column in Chesapeake Bay. So the water is murky and you really can't see anything using optics. Nets can work, but it's a limited way of sampling where, again, you're having to address data gaps. So it was about using sonar technology to fill in the data gaps of the ecological story behind a jellyfish.
So Suzan, can you tell me a little bit about your career? Since graduating from UMCES Chesapeake Biological Laboratory, what have you been doing? And how has your higher education prepared you for your career?
Yeah, so 4th year PhD, I recognized that now I had a skill set that was kind of bridging the gap between technology and ecology, specifically in marine science. And I wanted to understand where I could apply that in a meaningful way. So I joined the REEF program, which was offered to me as a student at CBL through UMCES, based out of IMET, the Institute of Marine and Environmental Technology in Baltimore. That was essentially taking your research and asking you to solve a problem in the real world or in the business sector. And so I met my partner and soon-to-be co-founder, Ken Malone and Kelly Booth, and they had a problem, which was how do we count shrimp in murky water? I had graduated with a degree understanding how to count shrimp, jellyfish in murky water. And so we co-founded a company, Minnowtech, which is effectively an aquaculture technology company that's helped shrimp farmers count their shrimp.
How does knowing how many shrimp are in a pond impact an aquaculture person or a farmer?
Effectively, if you don't know how many animals you have, you don't know how many animals you have to feed. So as an example, if a farmer thinks that he has 500 shrimp in his pond, that's a very low estimate, and he's feeding like he has, but he actually has 1,000 shrimp in his pond, he's underfeeding his shrimp, and so they're not growing at their maximum rate, and so he's losing out on a potential value of a larger shrimp. And the reverse is true. If he has if he thinks he has 1,000 shrimp, but he only has 500, he's now overfeeding, wasting money on feed, and adding more energy into the pond that's effectively creating an unstable pond environment. So knowing how many animals you have to feed, like knowing how many people you have coming to a party, helps you figure out how much food you have to order and really can help you not waste food. And so my career path has been really setting up a whole technology startup company around the skill sets that I learned at CBL to address ecological problems and data gaps using sonar and leveraging that education and everything I had to learn around that, which included things like machine learning, computer vision, spatial statistics, programming in R, MATLAB, all that good stuff that I learned at CBL, now being leveraged into solving a huge problem in aquaculture. And for me, it's all about food sustainability, right? If we can integrate technology into aquaculture systems, we can only make it more efficient.
That's amazing. So you're really innovating solutions to practical problems in the aquaculture industry.
Exactly.
So what does a typical day look like for you?
So I'll wake up and do emails, I think, pretty much like everyone else. I am in Hawaii, so I'm 6 hours behind. Kind of changes things a little bit. I have about 20 emails to address. But then it's nice because once I'm done, they're done. I do spend a lot of time going through data, coding. I take calls. I spend also time on the farm strategizing for how we are going to develop as a company, how we're developing the product. I talk to investors. I talk to potential investors. We work on grants. So these are all things that I'm constantly engaging in. As CEO of the startup company, I do wear many hats and get to do a lot of things.
That's great.
It's been fun.
So you mentioned earlier that you were in Hawaii and that you've been visiting a farm. Can you explain what you've been doing there?
So we have US funds from the NSF, research funds from the NSF, to conduct research on how best to optimize the biomass estimation of a shrimp farmer's pond. And so shrimp are grown in about 1 acre ponds. As you can imagine, the water is pretty murky. It's a productive system. And so the farmers are blindfolded to their count. We were fortunate enough to set up a research partnership with Kauai Shrimp. And I do research there trying to optimize both our technology and our algorithms, our counting algorithms, right? And so it's a beautiful relationship because they want the data and I want to be on the farm with them. And I've already, through development, started helping them with their operations, helping them understand how much they're going to produce or how much they need to feed, and really making it more efficient for them.
Those efficiencies seem like they have benefits both for the farmers themselves, but also potentially for the environment.
Exactly. I mean, my motivation could be for the farmer to adopt the product, but actually my motivation is knowing that if the farmer does adopt this product, you now have a more sustainable farm infrastructure that is less harmful to the environment. You're having less of an impact on the environment.
What is something that you find especially cool about your job, or that you think would surprise other people who haven't had your experiences?
I think we spend so much time, or as a graduate student, spend so much time focused on such a narrow research field, really not understanding the implications outside of publication. But the truth is that the research you do is so valuable to people out there that are using it to make a living. Especially as a marine scientist, everything we learn about fish species, everything we learn about shrimp, even in their wild state, it translates to sustainability. And so recognizing that your science has application and then actually getting to do that and to say, wow, I was doing this for my PhD, but now when I do it, I'm saving somebody money or I'm helping put food on a table is quite cool and tremendous.
What advice would you give to a child who's interested in pursuing a science, technology, engineering, or math, a STEM career?
Yeah, I think stay curious. That's always my advice for children. You have those curious kids that want to learn more and they're asking all those questions. That's what you need. Hold on to that. Don't let that go away, right? Keep that motivation, keep your curiosity as part of your motivation.
Just sort of building on that question, what advice would you give to a new student arriving at the Chesapeake Biological Laboratory today?
I would give the advice my advisor gave me day one. Pick a language, MATLAB or R, and get good. I think coding is the way. You know, I come with bias, but I think it really changed the course of my academic career. It was learning how to code and how to model systems. It was tremendous. And that's the course of the future, especially with integrating of computer vision systems and deep learning.
Well, that has to be really cool to be able to apply computer systems to solve practical environmental problems in your career. In terms of the development of your career and your business, where do you hope you'll be in 10 years?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Like I guess it depends on how I define myself. The scientist will always see myself and hope to be working in science for the next 10 years. But as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur side of me, I do see myself as what you would call a serial entrepreneur. So somebody that's looking to apply technology and science to problems. Whether that takes me away from shrimp biomass, who knows? But I am looking for the problems that my skill set can be applied to really put out those fires in aquaculture that would lead to more sustainability, food security.
That's certainly impressive, Suzanne. And I wish you the best of luck with that. I think it sounds like you're pursuing a really wonderful career that you have a passion for. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
All right, have a nice day.
It's so good to see you.